On Father's Day, my daughter sent me a mysterious box, and my wife whispered, "Don't open it." Just those words sent a chill through my spine. The air felt electric, thick with secrets and shadows, as I stared at the small brown package resting on the kitchen table. My heart raced. I had no idea what awaited me inside. I could see my wife's eyes darting, filled with fear. "It's important, just trust me," she said, her voice shaky. Her hands trembled as she wiped away beads of sweat forming on her forehead. The sunlight flooded the room, illuminating her anxious expression, while the box itself sat silently, almost taunting me. I remembered how Lily, my daughter, had always been the artistic one. She loved surprises. But this? Something felt off. The box was unmarked, wrapped in dull brown paper, tied with a frayed yellowing string. Hadn't she just turned 20? She was supposed to be having fun, not sending me strange packages that sent my heart into a frenzy. I approached the table, every step heavy with trepidation. The kitchen around me faded into silence. I swallowed hard, feeling the lump in my throat. I lifted the box, its edges rough under my fingertips, and a jolt of energy surged through me. It felt as if it pulsed with secrets, memories I had buried long ago. Memories I had tried to forget. What's in it? My voice trembled. My stomach churned as if bracing for impact. "Why shouldn't I open it?" "I can't tell you," my wife whispered, the edge of her voice cracking. "But if you do, it could ruin everything." Dark thoughts spiraled in my mind. I glanced back at her. She was pale. I could see the fear etched on her face like a storm brewing. What had Lily stumbled upon? What could possibly be inside? I felt the weight of choices crashing down on me. To open it could mean unlocking a door to the past, but to ignore it felt like letting it swallow me whole. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my skin. The table felt like a precipice, and I was teetering on the edge. The seconds dragged on like hours. The world outside blurred, the birds fell silent. I could hear my own heartbeat ringing in my ears, a wild drum. The box beckoned me. What if it held a piece of her? What if it held answers? Or worse? "Stop." My wife's voice broke through my thoughts. I hesitated, my fingers brushing the knot of the string. I glanced at her, the tears glistening in her eyes. They stung as I considered the truth of her warning. But the urge to know was overwhelming. The sudden vibration of my phone broke the moment. My heart leaped as I pulled it from my pocket, the screen lighting up with a message from Lily. One single word glowed back at me, chilling my spine. "Help." My breath caught. I looked up at my wife, horror dawning in her eyes. Did she know? Did Lily? I stood there frozen, the box in one hand, my phone in the other. What was happening? What had I just stumbled into? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air felt charged, a storm of unspoken words swirling around us. I blinked rapidly, trying to process Lily's message, trying to understand the corners of fear that curled in my stomach. My gaze flickered between the phone and the box, each artifact brimming with an urgent, fragile reality that threatened to unspool the fabric of my life. "Help," I whispered, the word tasting foreign on my tongue, heavier in meaning than I'd ever allowed it to be before. A tidal wave of anxiety washed over me, relentless and overwhelming. What does she mean? My wife stepped closer, her fingers grazing my arm. Her fear fed mine, wrapping around my heart like a vice. "She's in trouble?" I don't know. I choked out. What if whatever's in this box is connected to her? What if I couldn't finish the thought? What if it's dangerous? "Please let me handle this." Her voice trembled, revealing a raw edge. "Just put the box down. Trust me. You don't know what it could unleash." But I felt a different kind of urgency tearing at my insides. I need to understand what's happening. I can't just sit here. There was a moment of silence, a shared gaze lingering that felt like the pressure before a thunderclap. My heart was in chaos as I clutched the box tighter, its very presence both a beacon and a curse. What if we call her? I managed to say, instinctively reaching for my phone again, scrolling as if the answer lay in my open palms. No, she cried, her voice sharp and panicked. That could make it worse. If she's hiding, if she's in trouble, no contact is safer. The tension in the room tightened, a gripped fist that would not loosen. I sank into the wooden chair behind me, rocking it slightly as dread swelled inside. I had spent my life protecting them, holding everything together, and now I felt completely powerless. I can't just do nothing, I murmured, the weight of both choices pressing heavier and heavier. In the rush of shock, desperation clawed at me, reaching for the box again. I had half a mind to ignore everything she said. And then the phone buzzed again. I almost dropped it, only to see Lily's name flash once more. Another message. My hands were clammy as I opened it, the words flooding my vision like ink spreading on paper. Dad, please. Don't trust Mom. She's hiding things. My world tilted alarmingly, like the fragile balance of a house of cards. Opposing forces crashed within me. The connection between my daughter and the warning from my wife felt like poisoned arrows, pointed directly at my heart. What? I gasped, adrenaline surging through my veins. Let me see. My wife's voice was urgent, but her eyes flickered with a depth of emotion I had never seen before. A prism of fear and caution mixing with something else. I hesitated, torn between the differing worlds of my beloved daughter and the wife whom I had vowed to trust. Why wouldn't I trust you, Anna? I asked, the hurt spilling from my lips before I could catch it. Because she hesitated, her expression twisting in pain. Because I've made mistakes too. There are things from my past that we haven't resolved. Things I couldn't share and in Lily shouldn't find out about. The implications slammed against me like a thunderbolt. There were weighty shadows lurking in every heart, every past mistake we thought we could overcome. I was caught between two truths, two hearts I loved equally but felt painfully divided. Each time I think I've built a wall strong enough, it shatters. I never wanted a life like this. A quaver snaked into her voice, shattering carefully built composure, leaving raw vulnerability exposed. I could only gaze back, searching for something, anything to hold on to as emotions warred inside me. I felt as if I were standing on a precipice, with all the history of our family hanging in the balance. I can't lose her, Anna. I won't let anything happen to either of you. The words anchored me for a moment, the resolve an anchor against the tempest, but doubt clung tightly. The stakes were becoming impossibly high with every second dancing past. I squeezed my eyes shut, gasping for breath, against the swirl of swirling madness before me. Then came another message, the screen lighting up again and blinding me. Dad, I need you. I'm at the old house. It's urgent. Please don't let her stop you. Panic erupted. My heart pounded against my ribcage like a warning drum. I could feel time slipping away like sand through my fingers. The old house, the place I had sworn to never return to. A rotten core in the narrative of my life. Anna's expression shifted, fear magnetized in her eyes. You can't go there. It's dangerous. Lily needs me, I countered, torn between the choice of trust and love, the weight of the past gripping me cruelly. I can't just sit here waiting. As I stood, the box clutched tightly in my hands. A deep breath pulled me forward toward a choice that didn't feel like a choice at all. In the silence that followed, both our faces portrayed the same fear. That this moment might rupture everything we had tried to build. Just moments from stepping outside, I heard Anna whisper, if you go, there might be no coming back. Her voice trailed off, a strange finality hanging thick in the air. Suddenly, I felt a cold dread settle in my bones. That the choice I was about to make would shift the foundation of my family forever. And with every fiber of my being, I reached for the door, knowing no matter the outcome I was about to uncover secrets too deep to comprehend. I stepped outside, the night air wrapping around me like a shroud, saturated with the weight of choices left unmade. The shadows of the trees cast elongated silhouettes on the cracked pavement, each rustling leaf whispering caution as if they knew the story my heart was desperate to comprehend. The urge to turn back tugged at me fiercely. Anna's eyes, flooded with a cocktail of fear and uncertainty, haunted my thoughts. We had spent years navigating the rocky landscape of our marriage, our bond tested by the barest truths and unspoken fears. Yet here I was, willing to plunge headfirst into the very darkness we both had tried so hard to avoid. I forced each foot forward toward the old house, each step marred by past echoes. Memories crashed and mingled in flashes: Lily's laughter as a child dancing through the halls, the exchange of promises between Anna and me, and the sad remnants of a life derailed by mistakes both grave and ordinary. The world felt eerily still, marked only by the distant sound of a train whistling through the night, a reminder of journeys and destinations, of trains that came and went, yet this one felt as though it would take me somewhere irreversible. With every beat of my heart, I envisioned Lily's face, contorted in terror and pleading for my arrival. The old house awaited, each step closer forming a mix of urgency and dread. I reached the dilapidated door, a crumbling portal into my past. My hand shook slightly as I touched the rough surface, my heart racing with memories of laughter mingling with those darker moments I had tried to bury. I pushed it open with a creak, the sound echoing through the empty halls. The air was stale, carrying the weight of everything lost. Dim light from the moon filtered through shattered windows, casting ghostly shapes across the floor, a sinister reminder of betrayal and a home fractured by secrets. Each crack in the floorboard sent shivers racing up my spine. It was as if they kept the stories buried, the ones left unspoken and forgotten. "Lily," I called out, my voice tinged with desperation, quaking as it hung in the silence. I took careful steps through the dust-laden rooms, wading through the memories flickering like a movie reel in the shadows. Every creak of the floorboard was another reminder of everything I'd fought to shield my family from. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught my eye, a flash of fabric from the corner of the dimly lit kitchen. My heart stuttered as I stepped forward. "Lily," I called again, my voice a hoarse whisper, dread pooling in my stomach, and then I saw her, hunched over the kitchen table, her hair cascading over her face, illuminated only by the meager shaft of moonlight streaming through the gaping window. My breath caught in my throat. She looked so small, so lost. "Dad," she murmured, her voice barely rising above the silence, trembling as if the air around us was charged. "I was afraid you wouldn't come." "I'm here," I rushed to her side, pulling her into a tight embrace, my heart racing at the sheer reality of her presence. "What's going on? Why did you call me here?" "The box," she whispered, her breath trembling against my shoulder. "It has to be opened, Dad. It's important." My body tensed as her words sank into my bones. "What do you mean? Anna said you weren't supposed to trust her." Lily pulled away, her eyes glistening with an emotion I couldn't decode: fear, anxiety, or something deeper that tied us all together. "There are things she didn't tell you. Things I didn't know until I came here." The stories this house holds. A loud crash from the front room disrupted her, sending my heart racing. It felt as though the air had been sucked out of the room, replaced with a sudden chill that crept down my spine. "Stay here," I instructed Lily firmly, though panic welled inside me as I moved toward the sound, the darkness heavy around me. "Please don't leave," she pleaded, her voice shadowed with vulnerability. I hesitated, but as another crash echoed through the remnants of the decayed space, urgency clawed at me. "I'll be right back, I promise." With every step further from her, I felt a tether snapping between us. The feeling was visceral, as if I had let go of a precious lifeline. The living room was dim, cluttered with memories of our family that seemed foreign now, each piece telling stories I had tried to erase. Then I saw it. The box sat haphazardly on the floor, dark and ominous, a stark reminder of our shared tumult. But just as quickly my heart sank. In the dim light I could see another shape, a figure hunched over the box, rummaging through its contents. That I edged closer, my breath caught in my throat. "Who's there?" I demanded, feeling the tension snap taut like a drawn bowstring. The figure turned, a flash of familiar features illuminated in the pale gleam of the moonlight. My chest constricted as the reality crashed down, my worst fears coiling tightly within me. It was Anna. Her face was streaked with recklessness and fear, with a glimmer of defiance that told me she had been searching for something or someone within that box. "Don't touch it," I shouted, desperation lacing my voice, but the breath that escaped her lips was not one of fear as much as it was regret, turning her expression tumultuous. "This can't happen. Not like this," my mind raced, a cascade of questions unraveling in a chaotic spiral. There was so much more to this tangled web of love and betrayal than even I could see. "What are you doing here?" I demanded, my heart drumming fiercely as every unsolved piece in this puzzle erupted with potential danger. "I can't let you open it," she cried out, and I saw the frantic storm of her emotions wreak havoc on her. The anger, the love, the fear all twined together, An unyielding tempest, and undeniable truth loomed large as tension swelled in the room. This wasn't just about our family anymore, it was about the secrets that had chained us all together. The darkness that held us hostage. As my pulse quickened, a horrifying realization took root, solidifying into a chilling certainty we were all trapped in this web of unanswered questions, and somehow we might be on the precipice of irremediable choices. Suddenly, another noise burst forth from the kitchen, the unmistakable sound of a crash, followed by dull thuds that echoed agonizingly through the walls. I whipped back to see Lily standing there, the box now open, contents spilling across the floor. The scream lodged deep in my throat as I met her eyes filled with terror and confusion. And then I saw what was in the box. It wasn't mere belongings. It was the key to everything, a piece of paper that glimmered under the moonlight, unraveling everything we had known. The paper glimmered almost ominously in the dim light, and as I stepped toward it, a chill skittered down my spine. It hadn't been merely the contents of the box that sent my heart racing, but the overwhelming weight of the moment itself. This was the moment that could fracture everything, thrust us further into chaos. "Lily, no!" I shouted, lunging toward her, but my feet felt like they were glued to the ground, as if the shadows were reaching out to hold me in place. But she stood frozen, her wide eyes locked onto the letter, rebellious hope mingling with dread in her expression. Anna's features mirrored that same conflict, an emotional tempest threatening to spill over. "Get away from her," I warned Anna, a raw urgency bleeding into my voice. My instincts screamed that opening this letter would unleash a storm I would never recover from. Yet as I glanced back at Lily, whose tiny frame trembled, I saw something about the paper that demanded attention, a familiar insignia at the top, a symbol I recognized all too well. It belonged to my father. "Dad, I need to know what it says," Lily pleaded, her voice barely a whisper, but her resolve was piercing. "No, you don't understand. It's not just a piece of paper, it's more than that. It could ruin everything," I stammered, the truth of my thoughts colliding with the reality of our lives. "But it could also explain everything." Her voice wavered as she took a shaky step toward the scattered contents of the box. I saw the flicker of dread wash over her features, but was overridden by a deep-rooted desire for truth. The kind of truth that gives you strength but can also tear down your foundations. "Please don't." Anna stepped forward, the frantic pull in her voice stark, as if a dam was about to burst behind her own resolve. But I could see it in her eyes, she was desperate to protect something fragile. What she didn't know was that in doing so, she might just suffocate the very life we had left at us. If sensing our turmoil, the wind outside picked up, rattling the broken windows as if urging us to confront not only the truth but also ourselves. The atmosphere thickened, each breath a reminder of what lay at risk, and my heart thudded relentlessly against my ribs as I turned back to Lily, my face a mask of uncertainty and fear. Maybe there are things that should stay buried," I whispered, but my words felt hollow, an insufficient reminder of the heavy price of ignorance. Lily bit her lip, her resolve evident. "But how can we heal if we don't understand the wounds?" Suddenly, I was overwhelmed with all that had been unsaid, the conversations I had avoided, the tensions that pulsed in place of comfort. Anna and I had built walls stone by stone, separating ourselves from the truth that wrapped tightly around our lives, and here stood our daughter wanting to peel it back, even if the wound tore deeper. "I can't bear to see you get hurt again," I murmured half to myself, feeling the churning in my gut. I stepped toward the remnants of the box. "But maybe it's already too late." "Dad." Lily's voice was charged, tenacious and fierce, pulling me from the depths of my own fears. "We're in this together. Just read it. For once." Before I could respond, Anna's hand shot out, gripping my arm delicately yet firmly, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. "We can't let this destroy us. Please let us just walk away." But could we truly walk away from the shadows of our history? The box's contents drew us in. Felt like gravity, impossible to resist. I caught the glint of the letter once more, the pull of it deeper than I could comprehend. With trembling hands, I slipped my fingers around the paper, my stomach twisting with every second, every quiet exchange that had led us here, secrets shared and unshared, the tapestry of heartache and love woven within it. I pulled the letter free, my heart pounding, and glanced between Lily and Anna, two sets of eyes filled with an unanswerable mix of hope and fear. Our past loomed large over us. Perhaps it was time to unravel it, even if it meant tearing at wounds once thought healed before. I could muster the courage to read. Another crash resonated from the neck of the house, causing the very foundations beneath us to shudder. Panic seized me as Lily's gaze shifted toward the disturbance, and I felt Anna's grip loosen as a surge of energy pulled us all toward the sound. "Stay back," I shouted reflexively, my protective instincts at war with the questions that threatened to consume me. But the second noise, the unmistakable sound of a door bursting open, snapped me into action. "Lily, go into the other room," I urged, but she backed away into the shadows, her young form eclipsed, clinging to certainty within uncertainty. I turned towards the door just in time to see a figure advancing, silhouetted against the hallway light. The tension in the air morphed from simple panic to something darker. And then they stepped into the room, revealing a face I had prayed to never see again. A ghost from the past stepping forth to claim its hold on our family, and my breath stalled as my entire world tilted beneath me, a twisted mixture of fear and adrenaline coursing through my veins. The revelations on the paper suddenly felt trivial as the real danger stood before us, waiting to dictate a fresh cycle of chaos. "Hello, family," he announced, his voice thick with malice. "It's time we had a little chat." The letter slipped from my fingers, forgotten, as our past crashed unforgivingly into our present. Here we were, risks exchanged for promises, and as the shadows danced around us, the haunting truth whispered. Everything was about to change once more. The air was thick with tension, the weight of history crashing down upon us like an unrelenting tide. I couldn't move. My mind raced, jaw tightening against the reality that stood before us. My father, a specter of our past, had returned. He sauntered in, casually confident, as if the years had not aged him at all. His face, taut and etched with lines that mapped a lifetime of decisions I had buried deep within my heart, was lit with a sinister smirk. "You've done well," he said, his gaze flickering to Anna and then back to me, an unholy marriage of pride and accusation in his eyes. "But you've all been so naive. Dad, you shouldn't be here," I found myself saying, the words escaping before I could fully grasp their weight. Shouldn't he? Or couldn't? He leaned against the doorframe, an air of mockery hanging around him like a shroud. "You thought you could just erase your past, pretend like I never existed. Pathetic." "I didn't erase anything," I shot back, anger surging, a physical jolt pulsing through me that somehow felt both empowering and futile. "I kept you out for good reason. You think keeping me out protects them?" He gestured towards Lily, who still stood ensconced in shadows, fear radiating from her small body. "You're wrong. Truth is powerful, sometimes more than love. Protecting them from the truth? That only creates more suffering." Lily's eyes darted between my father and me, her innocence crushed beneath the weight of his words. I had wanted to shield her from this, but here we were right on the precipice of a new hell. "Just go," Anna pleaded, stepping in front of Lily protectively. "This has nothing to do with you anymore." "But it does," he purred, eyes glinting with a twisted thrill. "It has everything to do with them. Don't you want them to know the truth about who you really are?" My heart constricted at the implication. What could he possibly reveal that would twist our already fragile existence further? "Don't listen to him, Lily," I snapped, reaching for my daughter, wanting to pull her closer, to shield her from whatever darkness he threatened to unleash. "He's trying to manipulate you." "Manipulate?" My father scoffed. "No, I'm merely reminding you how tangled this web has become. You couldn't hide yourself from your own shadow, could you?" His voice dropped to a near whisper. "What will she think when she learns the truth about you?" "About me?" I felt every word like a dagger. The layers of protection I had built for Lily felt as flimsy as cobwebs, the truth of our family history far too jagged and cruel. "What truth?" Lily interrupted, her small voice cracking as she stepped forward. "What do you mean?" "No," I shouted, but it was too late. The grip of my father's presence had ensnared her curiosity. He turned to her, voice smooth as silk. "Your father isn't the hero you think he is. He's been running from our history, from his very nature. What would you say if I told you he was just like me?" Tension coiled like a snake ready to strike. "Shut up," I hissed through clenched teeth, the threat of the past tightening its grip on my throat. "Why? Don't you want her to know?" He taunted, now relishing the discord he was sowing. "You and we share a darkness. A legacy, if you will. A gift." The word fell heavy in the room. I took a tentative step toward Lily, desperate to intercept the turmoil brewing within her. "That's not true, none of it is." My voice wavered with the weight of my fears that now slipped uncertain into the air. Her eyes shifted, the trust she had held for me now drenched with doubt. Dad, what does he mean? Do you want to know what he means, Lily? My father leaned in, every part of him a predator. I could tell you, but will it change how you see him? No. I reached for her, but she flinched away, brushing against Anna, whose horrified expression mirrored my own sense of dread. Lily's gaze searched mine, demanding answers I didn't have. The implications settled heavy in my stomach. The legacy I had tried to escape loomed, brighter and more terrifying than I had ever imagined. A flicker of understanding crossed Anna's face, her sorrow morphing into resolve. No more games, she warned, but I felt the threat of my father's influence pressing in on us like ancient memories refusing to remain buried. Why don't we take a seat? He suggested, his grin widening, making it clear he relished the turmoil. After all, we have so much catching up to do. Don't you want to know more about your family's legacy, Lily? It's a part of you whether you believe it or not. Whispers of the past echoed in my mind, a panicked rush of memories and unsaid truths clawing at my sanity. I moved to block the doorway, desperate to contain the maelstrom before us, but every second only deepened the fissures of doubt creeping into our lives. Stay away from her, I shouted in defiance. In that moment I realized I was not just fighting to protect my daughter from my past, but also from the specter of my father, whose darkness threatened to swallow the fragile light we had fought so hard to preserve. Make your choice, he said, voice laced with malevolent glee. Protect her from the truth or let her make her own decisions. It all hinges on you. The words hung in the air like an ultimatum, an invitation to unravel everything I had believed to be true. My heart pounded in my ears, forcing me to confront the terrifying reality. Could I finally choose to confront my own fears, or would I allow the shadows of the past to dictate yet another generation's fate? As the seconds slipped away, I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. That certainty of who I was, who we were, began to erode, leaving an unsettling precipice that loomed ahead of us. The shattering of an unyielding silence turned palpable with each jarring breath. And just as the weight of my father's presence pressed down heavier than ever, from the darkness Lily whispered, I want to know the truth. A chilling silence fell upon us, each heartbeat echoing like a drum signaling the end of innocence. Just like that, the invitation was made, and the door to an unknown future stood wide open, ready to engulf us whole. The weight of Lily's words hung in the stillness, steeped in an unsettling gravity that threatened to upend everything. I felt my world teetering on the edge as my mind raced. What was she asking for? She was just a child, and the truth, my truth, wasn't an offering made lightly. Lily, please, I implored, my voice breaking. You don't understand what you're asking. Then help me understand. Her plea was desperate, her small hands clenched into fists, betraying a mix of fear and determination that made my heart crack anew. It pierced through the fog of dread saturating that moment, sparking a flicker of hope, but it was quickly swallowed by the malevolence radiating from my father, who stood there, reveling in the chaos. Let her choose, son, he taunted. She deserves the truth. Like the legacy we share, it's her birthright. You can't shield her from her own darkness forever. Anguish unfurled in my chest, a wholly unwanted inheritance from the man before me. What you're offering is not a gift. It's a curse. I'd call it enlightenment, he countered, and it was infuriatingly clear he took pleasure in the turmoil now fraying at the edges of our family unit. No, Anna shouted suddenly, step by step forging a path away from my daughter and toward my father. You won't do this to her. Not again. Rage ignited within her, fiercer than I had ever seen. I felt both grateful for her fire and terrified of where it might lead. My father shrugged with feigned nonchalance, but his eyes gleamed with amusement. You think you can protect her from me? From our blood? In that moment I felt Lily's small hand squeeze my arm, anchoring me in the storm, but the waves crashing around us were too fierce. Just tell me the truth, Dad, she said, her voice shaking. Whatever it is, I can handle it. Are you sure you want to know about the darkness that runs through our veins? He asked, voice low and piercing, as if tasting the very fear he aimed to instill. 'Cause once you know, there's no turning back. Please, she whispered, and it sounded almost like a prayer. I glanced at Anna, searching for answers in her eyes, but I saw only uncertainty. You're not ready, Lily. You don't want to hear it, I barked, my voice laced with panic. This wasn't just about the truth. It was about protection, about love. The very definition of a father's duty. Dad, Lily's voice broke. Don't you trust me? The question was a knife, slick and sharp, carving away at my resolve. My thoughts spiraled, tumbling into the abyss of my past. I could see it clearly now, a web of mistakes and pain. Yet here was Lily, too young to fathom the profound consequences of knowledge. I wanted to shield her, to take the brunt of my family's history so she could emerge unscathed. But how could I stand before her and deny her a piece of the truth? The very same truth that had dictated my every move, binding me in chains of shame. Maybe you should hear him out, Anna said quietly, her words suffused with deep trepidation, shifting the weight of responsibility onto Lily's fragile shoulders. As hard as it may be, understanding could give you strength. No, I protested vehemently. We'll be okay without knowing. Lily's hard stare pierced through my defenses. But I don't know what we're okay from. With her earnest gaze awaiting my response, the dam within me began to crack. I could feel it, the truth that lived in the hollows of my heart, threatening not only my past but the future of my family. Sometimes the truth is heavy, I began, my voice faltering. It can leave scars that one heal. Shadows can consume you. What will you do then? Lily's resolve shimmered like a flickering flame, a choice she was eager to make. Dad, I have to know. I want to be the one who decides. My father chuckled, a mirthless sound, and my heart sank further. Isn't it wonderful? The innocence ready to be shattered. It's quite the legacy indeed. Don't! Anna shrieked, turning to me, her fierce protector instinct igniting. Don't let him do this to her. But even as I clenched my fists, the room pulsed with tension. The moment stretched. Infinitely, the question of whether to protect or expose. Vulnerability and duty collided, leaving nothing but a chasm of uncertainty that cracked the surface of our fragile family harmony. Lily, I whispered, on the edge of breaking. I love you. Wanting to protect you from feelings of shame shouldn't mean holding you back from the truth. But this world is not simple, and I can't guide you down that road. At that moment, my father took a step forward, eyes glowing with satisfaction, licking the wounds of guilt and apprehension. But I can. Allow me to enlighten you both. Gripped by fear for my daughter, every muscle in my body tightened. Lily took a step closer to my father. An instinct twisted within me, as if I were being drawn into a vortex. Lily, no. I cried in a frenzy, but the words fell flat against the gathering storm. Decide quickly, son, my father taunted again, before she discovers the truth through less forgiving paths. And then the unimaginable happened. The lights flickered ominously, plunging us into darkness for the briefest of moments before an explosion of sound erupted from the other room. The doors slammed open, revealing a figure wrapped in shadow, a scream escaping its lips, a cry shattering everything that had built up within us. I turned, dread pooling in my gut, knowing intuitively that whatever approached was a manifestation of our darkest fears, poised to derail the fragile path we had fought so hard to protect. With uncertainty and horror gripping my heart, I realized we were edging closer to an unspeakable revelation, one that could unravel the fibers of our family forever. In the wake of that terrifying scream, time hung suspended in the air, thick with dread and anticipation. The figure that stumbled into the room was barely recognizable, cloaked in shadows, its eyes wide with panic. As the lights flickered back to strength, it revealed itself, a dear friend from our past, Michael, his clothes torn and dirty, panic etched on his face. Help! He shouted, breath ragged as if he had just escaped a nightmare. You have to help me. What happened? I exclaimed, surprise and concern battling within me. But before he could respond, the reality of the moment began to settle like a heavy FOJM. My father's amusement faltered, his gaze shifting from Lily to the newcomer. What's the meaning of this? What trouble have you brought here, Michael? Please, he gasped, darting toward us with wild eyes. It's all connected, the truths you've buried, it's rising again. His voice broke, an echo of fear that wrapped around my heart like a vice. I strained to make sense of his words, but a sickening realization washed over me. A tapestry of familiar grievances and long-buried secrets threatened to unravel. My mind raced with questions, but they lay scattered like shards of glass. What do you mean all connected? Your father, Michael wheezed, pointing a trembling finger at him. He made promises that he never kept. Promises that haunt us all. The air in the room thickened with tension. Anna's face contorted with confusion and fear. My daughter stood frozen, clinging to the remnants of her trusting innocence. My father, unyielding and terrifyingly calm, seemed all too pleased that the game had shifted in his favor. Enough of this nonsense, he bellowed, the facade of control cracking only slightly. But Michael persisted, desperate and frantic. We have to go, he urged, glancing nervously over his shoulder. There are people who want to silence the truth. They're coming for you. We have to reveal everything before it's too late. Reveal what? I pressed, each word tasting increasingly bitter as it left my mouth. What are you talking about? Michael steadied himself, his gaze locking onto mine. You've kept secrets that have fed darkness into this family. Secrets that will destroy you if you let them fester. It's now or never. Don't let fear imprison you again. My father scoffed, oblivious to the depths of turmoil unfolding. You think you have the answers, don't you, Michael? Just more lies to spin into your web of chaos. Enough! I roared, emotion bubbling to the surface. I turned back to Michael, desperation creeping into my voice. Please just tell me what's going on. There's something in the past you need to confront, he said, voice breaking under the weight of revelation. Something regarding that box. The one your daughter sent you. My heart plummeted. The box. I hadn't even opened it yet. It sat ominously on the table, a vessel of curiosity and fear. What does it have to do with any of this? Everything, he replied slowly. It's a key, a link to the family's legacy. A legacy you've kept buried deep. Your daughter deserves the full truth. But I fear that once the box is opened, it will unleash what you've tried so hard to contain. The room plunged into silence, my mind racing. I had aimed to shield Lily from the fractures of my past, yet it seemed fate had different plans. The choice I had borne with so much reluctance was coiling tighter around me. Lily, I muttered, glancing at her just as she leaned toward the table, her curiosity piqued, captivated by the unassuming box that waited like a sentry in the stillness. Open it, Dad, she whispered, a mix of eagerness and fear shining in her wide, pleading eyes. I want to know. No more hiding. A layer of dread slid down my spine, and I found myself torn between her innocent desire for truth and the all-consuming prospect of the past unraveling with a single twist of the lid. Every fiber of my being screamed to protect her, to shield her from the shadows that lurked just beyond sight. But in that moment of paralyzing indecision, the walls of our home creaked ominously. Dad! Lily urged, breaking the silence, her determination strong yet fragile. You taught me that knowing is better than being left in the dark. If it means understanding, if it helps us, please. The shadows fell heavier, and I could feel my father's presence looming almost suffocatingly, his anger and triumph palpable. I clenched my jaw, imagining the darkness waiting within that box, seething and ready to breach the surface as I reached for the box, my fingers trembling against the smooth wood. The door swung open violently. A gust of wind swept past us, accompanied by the sound of hurried footsteps echoing outside, urgency seeping into the air like trepidation. Michael, we need to go now, I whispered fiercely, glancing between him and the door, dread clutching my heart. But it was too late. The impending storm, the voices in the distance, the past that was violently rising collided within me, as I felt the lid of the box give a slight creak under my touch. Dad! Lily yelled, panic cresting her voice. Please don't open it. And in that moment, I was faced with a pivotal choice that could shatter not just my family, but my daughter's life forever. The shadows of the past loomed heavy, ready to engulf us all, waiting for the truth to find its reckoning. The air was taut with anticipation, a palpable energy that charged the space between us. I could feel the weight of my father's stare, a mixture of disdain and anxiety. My mind raced, torn between what I knew to be true and the desire to shield Lily from whatever horrors lay within that box. It was a moment suspended in time, where decisions seemed to echo indefinitely. Michael, I breathed, urgency threading through my words as I turned to him. What's in there? Is it really as dangerous as you say? Michael's eyes flickered to the door, the frantic sounds of footsteps drawing closer, before he looked back at me. It's not just what's in the box. It's what it represents. A lifetime of lies, of promises broken. Some truths should never see the light of day. But Lily deserves to know who her family truly is. It might save her from repeating our mistakes. Mom, wouldn't he want this? Lily interjected, her voice rising as anger spilled over her fear. Is that why you never opened it? Because it's too painful? You promised to be honest with me. The break in her voice split my heart in two. I wanted to protect her from the budding realities of this family's dark lineage. Yet her words cut through my resolve. I felt I was betraying her by holding back the truth. Dad, Lily pressed, the tremor in her voice urging me on. Open the box. Please. Just as I steeled myself to surrender to her pleas, a crash shattered the tense stillness. The front door splintered as it swung open, revealing figures cloaked in darkness, silhouettes that moved with purpose. Panic surged through me and instinct took over. Everyone, hide! I yelled, pushing Lily behind me as I squared off against the intruders. Michael shifted, stepping protectively to my side, resolutely refusing to let fear overcome him. As they flooded into the room, my heart raced. The leader, a man with an unsettling grin, surveyed us with mirrored eyes that held a chilling familiarity. You've been too long in the dark, friend. It's time to illuminate the truth, for all of us. Who are you? I demanded, voice steady despite the turmoil twisting in my stomach. I sensed Michael stiffen beside me, a shared understanding passing silently between us. The past was rising not just to haunt me, but to reclaim lives intertwined with secrets. There's no need for hostility, the man said coolly, tilting his head with amusement. We've come for the box. What's inside is far more valuable than any of you realize. It's about time you faced it. Get away from us. I yelled, but fear threaded through my demand. The gravity of his words twisted my gut. Lily pulled closer to me, clutching my arm, anxiety radiating off her small frame. Suddenly, the urgency to open the box waned as I realized there were deeper stakes at hand, our safety. Michael, I whispered, urgency scaling my voice. What do we do? He cast a swift glance at Lily, then back to the intruders. We have to keep the box safe. If they get their hands on it before you understand its significance, it could bring about more than just familial chaos. What do you know? I pressed, voice tight as the man continued to pace, closing in with a predatory air. All you need to know is that we're on borrowed time, he declared, arrogance painted on his face. Each moment you waste is a moment closer to losing everything. That box holds the key to understanding who you really are, but it also holds the power to destroy. Separation from the box was now unfathomable. I had a responsibility to protect it, not just for myself, but for Lily, who deserved to know the truth on her own terms. Leave us! I shouted again, stepping forward boldly, planting my feet wide. You'll have to go through me first. The man chuckled, unimpressed by my defiance. You think you can protect it? How naive. The shadows will come for you. You cannot conceal from what you've run from your whole life. He motioned to his accomplices, and they began to advance, chaos flickering in their eyes. My heart raced, uncertainty gnawing at me as fear intermingled with a flicker of determination. Michael, now, I urged, panic lacing my order. As I fought to hold back the advancing figures, Michael seized the moment. He grabbed Lily, whispering urgently, we need to find a way out. Now. I could sense their movement, their encroaching darkness inching toward us, threatening the light I desperately wanted to cling to. Something primal drove me forward, and I reached for the box again, desperate to understand what it held. But as I turned, one of the shadows lunged toward me, the air growing tight with possibility. Open it and you'll truly understand. He snarled, his breath hot against my face, closing in. Time slowed to a haunting cadence as I felt the lid tremble beneath my fingers, every heartbeat a drumroll painting the inevitability of choice upon the canvas of fate. And at that moment the flicker of light from the box pulsed beneath my palm, as if it too held its breath, waiting for the choices that would reverberate through time. I was about to unveil more than I could comprehend. But would the truth liberate me or consume us all? The tension in the air was electric, strands of anxiety coursing through the room as I braced for whatever force would descend upon us. The faces of the intruders were nothing but shadows, but their intent was vividly clear. Whatever was inside the box, it was more than just a family secret. It was a beacon now, drawing danger toward us like moths to a flame. Instincts kicked in, and my breath hitched at the realization that the box had become a source of power, a currency of desperation that these people wanted to exploit. I clenched my jaw, refusing to show any sign of weakness. They wouldn't take this from us, not now. Lily, Michael, I shouted, tearing my gaze from the ominous figures as I turned to face them, determination hardening my resolve. Get to the back door. There's still a chance find safety. And just like that, the moment unraveled. Michael, eyes wide with fear, hesitated for a split second before he gripped Lily's hand tightly. I'll get her out, don't worry, he replied with a forced bravado that barely masked the heavy weight of dread. Go, I barked, retreating into my protective stance as Lily's frightened eyes filled with tears. Now, the two turned, darting toward the back of the house while I stood tall, even as dread tickled the back of my neck. My heart thudded violently, a desperate echo of hope and despair woven into a singularity of purpose, as I faced the men advancing towards me, their smirks turning my blood cold. Where do you think you're going? The leader sneered, inching closer, his confidence terrifying. I chose my words carefully, wrapping them in a facade of determination. I'll fight you with every breath in my body before you lay a hand on either of them. Brave, he said, amusement simmering in his voice but foolish. The shadows behind him stirred, shifting as if they were part of his very essence. Their eyes glinted maliciously, reflecting a shared enjoyment of the fear they instilled. Amid the chaos, a fleeting glint caught my eye. A shard of glass glittered on the floor beneath the table where I nearly dropped the box. It was a meager weapon, but I snatched it up, gripping its cold surface, a symbol of both desperation and defiance. Should I strike first with raw courage, allowing adrenaline to take the wheel? Or should I keep all my energy focused on protecting the box, on holding on to whatever secret it contained? A figure lunged forward, adrenaline igniting my instincts. I ducked just in time, bringing the glass shard down with all the strength I could muster. But my attack was met with deftness, the man sidestepping, pushing me back against the wall. You really don't understand what's coming, do you? He hissed dangerously close, and I could feel his breath, hot and feral, as he leaned in. This is only the beginning, my friend. Suddenly, a loud crash reverberated through the house. It was coming from the back door. Michael and Lily. Relief surged through me, buoyed by the thought that they weren't entirely out of harm's way just yet. There had to be some way to reach them, to get them to safety. My fist tightened around the shard as I glanced back toward the chaos unfolding before me. The leader was gathering his crew to strike, their intentions ominous. Time felt suspended, each second stretching unnaturally, our breaths blending into a chaotic symphony of distress and fear. Then another familiar voice echoed through the chaos. Stop! Against all odds, my mother appeared, her face pale but fierce as she stood in the doorway, her silhouette a stark contrast to the darkness surrounding us. You're making a mistake, she yelled, her eyes darting between me and the intruders. You don't know what you're doing. My heart sank at the sight of her. Mom, this isn't safe. Get back. Driven by panic, I gestured for her to retreat, but she stood her ground, her resolve unwavering. Believe me, you need to listen to me. The leader's laugh cut her off, sharp and cruel. What a lovely family reunion. But I assure you, we're not here for pleasantries. We're here for the truth. He motioned to his men. Their movements synchronized as they prepared to advance once more. Without thinking, I called back to Michael, desperately hoping he had made it with Lily through the other side. Run! Get out of here! Just then a loud sob escaped Lily's mouth, echoing against the chaos. I turned, catching a glimpse of her small frame silhouetted in the doorway, tears streaming down her cheeks. Dad! She cried, her small face twisted in fear and pain. Lily, no! I shouted, an explosion of regret poisoning my heart. There was no way to shield her from the horrors of our tangled history, yet now those shadows extended beyond just secrets, they enveloped the very essence of our family. The realization hit me like a rogue wave. We were all connected by this bloodline, one steeped in shadows and dark revelations that had permeated our lives. In that split second of desperation, before my world and the structure of my family began to shatter, something profound struck me. The choice was mine and mine alone. The box was no ordinary fortress of secrets. It was a crucible of our collective legacy, and perhaps illuminating its contents was the only way to understand and protect Lily's future. Everyone listen! I shouted, my resolve hardening as I stepped forward, positioning myself as a barrier between Lily and the encroaching darkness. If these are the monsters of our past, then let them come. But you'll hear me. You'll listen to what should have been told ages ago. The leader paused, a flicker of disbelief shadowing his face as he read my certainty. And in that fleeting moment, as our eyes locked, time spiraled once more into suspended anticipation. Would I willingly open Pandora's box to discover the truths that festered beneath our skin, perhaps engendering a glimpse of light amidst the darkness closing in? The choice loomed ominously. The hour grew late, and as I prepared to unveil the secrets contained, disaster blurred the lines of our present. For in the distance sirens wailed, a clarion call heralding the arrival of hope or perhaps an even greater calamity. It's all about to unfold, whispered the leader, his eyes greedy and awaiting satisfaction. And as the air thickened with uncertainty, I couldn't shake the feeling that something darker than I could fearfully imagine was still lurking in the shadows, patiently waiting for the moment to strike. The darkness loomed, and all at once, I understood that everything was about to unravel. My heart thundered against my chest as I stood between Lily and the impending doom that seemed to converge upon us. My father's words echoed in my mind, weaving a tapestry of fear and dread. But at that moment, as I cast a glance at my daughter, her terrified gaze meeting mine, I felt a hardening resolve surge through me. This ends now, I declared, the words bursting forth with a power I didn't know I had. You want the truth? Let us expose it for all to see. The leader's smirk faltered, but only momentarily. You bravely confront the dark side of your legacy, but I'm afraid you're unprepared for its true weight. Maybe the weight of the truth is what we need, I challenged, my voice unwavering. You're not taking my family away from me, not again. The air crackled with tension, and I could feel Michael's presence beside me, a steady reminder of the bond we shared. Whatever tempest lay ahead, we would face it together, head-on. Dad, what are you doing? Lily pleaded, her worry etched deeply upon her face. Trust me, I urged, knowing my words were all I could offer in the face of our collective fear. We have to confront this darkness together. The shadows began to encircle us, the figures advancing, their movements synchronized like a pack of wolves closing in on prey. I felt the glass shard slipping from my grasp, its symbolism of desperation fading in importance against the truths that lay waiting to be uncovered. The box, the heart of this chaos, beckoned, shimmering even in the dim light. It contained not only family secrets but perhaps the very weapons needed to dismantle the crimes of our past. Stepping toward it, I brushed my fingers against the smooth wood, hesitant yet determined. Just as I lifted the lid, I could hear my father's mocking voice slice through the air. By opening it, you bind your family to a legacy that cannot be undone. Maybe it's a legacy that needs confronting, I retorted, pushing past his taunts as I undid the last of the string, unveiling its contents. With a soft exhale, I finally lifted the lid and paused. Inside lay papers, photographs, and a small trinket, a family heirloom I'd only heard whispered about during the darker corners of my childhood. I reached for it first, the metallic chill against my skin igniting memories long buried. This was a piece of our family's history, the remnants of a legacy too painful to recall. Everything we've kept hidden is right here, I said, my heart pounding as I rifled through the stack. Photos of smiles, laughter, of family before shadows engulfed it. Each image felt like a thread weaving its way back to connection, back to love. But beneath that lay the scars, the reminders of a history marred by choices made in desperation. What is this irrelevance? My father snapped, his composure fraying around the edges, but it was too late for feigned indifference. I found a photograph that made my breath catch, a faded image of my father younger, alongside other faces I had long forgotten. Faces I recognized only from whispered conversations and hidden stories. But one held an undeniable familiarity. It was a young woman with my mother's eyes, a twin forged in a history echoing through decades. This is all part of it, the truth that ties us together. I breathed incredulously, piecing together the fragments. You lied, Dad. You kept us in the dark while allowing the past to poison everything. Lily stepped closer, her eyes wide with realization. Who are they? She urged, caught in the gravity of revelation. It doesn't matter. He roared, stepping forward but stopping as we all pressed closer to the box. You're choosing to dig up the dead. You should fear what you might find. No. I breathed instead, the emotion swirling unevenly within my chest. What I fear is never knowing. We've long buried the dead, they can't haunt this family anymore. With that proclamation, I lifted another piece of paper, trembling as I recognized the family crest emblazoned at the top. This holds the truth, it doesn't have power unless we let it. The moment hung heavy and pulsating as I thumbed through the documents, Lily peering over my shoulder. Each one told a part of the story I had desperately longed to protect her from, each one revealing damage too profound to ignore. Yet alongside them danced stories of light, of love, laughter amid chaos, and reminders of resilience. I'm not afraid anymore. I breathed, drawing strength from those words as I faced my father. It's time to break the cycle. The darkness around us seemed to recede momentarily, the air shifting as I viewed my father through a clearer lens. Maybe you can unearth your wounds, but I've long succumbed to mine so much so it transformed into control and cruelty. Maybe it's time to stop letting that darkness define you, I replied, hoping to reach the part of him that had once fought for love. The leader smirked. You are a fool. You think this ever ends? You unravel secrets. Others will rise to claim what belongs to them. As if on cue, the sirens grew louder, echoing a warning that reinforcements were on the way, help drawn from the love we battled to protect. And then it hit me, a powerful realization that swelled within me. A way to confront the storm gathering at our doorstep. Then let the world see us for who we truly are. I yelled, channeling all my air, all my courage into a declaration that must have carried to every corner of the darkness. No more hiding. We stand as a family, bloodbound not just by ties of fear but of love. The shadows hesitated, unwilling to betray the urgency that pressed upon us. The faces of long-lost family became firm in my mind, urging me to confront them rather than control them. Lily, I turned to her, you choose what you believe. This is your legacy too. Even in the darkest stories, there are threads of light waiting for recognition. Her eyes sparkled with realization, and I held her hand tightly. As we stood united, it became clear we were not just facing the shadows but embracing the truth that could liberate us all. In defiance, I reached back for the reins of our family narrative. Dad, we will rewrite the paths that have been drawn for us, I spoke loudly. Even if it means reclaiming what is rightfully ours, we will do so together. The incoming sirens crescendoed, a touch of salvation exploding into the room better than any foresight we had imagined. And with one final glance toward my father, I saw a flicker of recognition and remorse, before the encroaching figures began to retreat, shadows scattering as light seeped in. The truth was finally emerging, carving away years of darkness while illuminating every corner we had long concealed. As I stood there, heart pounding, immersed in the reality that was ours, I felt a profound stillness settle. We could finally be free, our fears no longer dictating our fate, but rather our connection to one another solidified in our trust. And just as this tumult subsided amidst clarity, I heard Lily whisper, now we can follow our own paths. With that echoes rang true, the future stretched ahead, waiting for us to uplift the weight of history into a new realm of hope, redemption, and love. In that moment, beneath the weight of all we carried, we discovered what it meant to truly stand as family. No more fear, no more shadows. For it was clear as we locked eyes it was our choice, our time together, we would rise. All that remained was the wisdom to let our past guide us toward a better future. And for the first time in ages I felt the air shift, the weight lift, as I knew we were finally ready to embrace the light. As I looked into my daughter's trusting gaze and saw the legacy we vowed to create, I couldn't help but smile. Our hearts pulsed with the promise of a new dawn hovering just beyond the horizon, a gift of clarity that whispered back, we are the architects of our own destiny. The future beckons, I murmured, and together we will shape what comes next. And deep down, amidst every shattering fear, I felt my heart blaze with conviction, knowing this moment was our beginning, an opportunity to reclaim everything we were meant to be. With one last glance at the kaleidoscope of life surrounding us, I knew we could summon all the strength and courage within, for in that unity we were not defined by the darkness of our past, but reborn to illuminate a destiny much greater than we could ever envision alone.